The P-61 was the first U.S. Air Force airplane designed specifically to find and destroy enemy aircraft at night and in bad weather. And it could do this because of an advanced SCR-720 onboard radar. Really, just the perfect aircraft for the Aleutians. But were they operational during the Aleutian theater? No. So what was it doing on this remote island in Alaska when it crashed? And did they survive? Let's find out. But first, my name is Karen, and I have been retracing my grandfather's wartime footsteps through some of the most remote areas of Alaska, the Aleutian Islands, all in an effort to honor his service and the service of those he served with. If you want to know more about this mysterious and forgotten conflict in one of the most spectacular places on Earth, then stick around. One of the things that I get to do while retracing my grandfather's footsteps in Alaska is lead World War II history expeditions through the Aleutian Islands, which is where we discovered this P-61. It is located on Umnak Island, 80 miles west of Dutch Harbor. It is one of my favorite islands along the chain. My grandfather flew P-40s off of this airfield with the Royal Canadian Air Force in 1942, and it has one of the most intact World War II bases in existence, largely because no one's lived there since the military moved out 75 years ago. Except for a large head of free-roaming cows and a few ranch hands. The large, sprawling Joint Army-Navy base became operational in 1941, and it was one of the most forward bases at the time of the Japanese attack on Dutch Harbor. Though by 1942, the base on Umnak transitioned into more of a staging base, and even more so as U.S. forces advanced base development westward along the chain in an effort to shorten the striking distance between the Japanese forces entrenched on the islands of Kiska and Attu. The Black Widow was a big airplane. It's hard to tell from this wreck, but it was about the same size of a B-25 or a B-26 medium bomber. It was crewed by 3 people. The pilot and the gunner sat in kind of a stepped cockpit with the gunner sitting higher behind the pilot, and the radar operator sat behind him in the clear bubble at the back. It first saw combat in June of 1944 in the European theater and roughly the same time in the Pacific. By the time the war ended, the Army Air Force had 14 Black Widow squadrons. The first P-61s to arrive in Alaska were sent to the Ladd Field Cold Weather Test Station in 1945. And actually, if you want to see one of those exact Black Widows, then you can check out the Smithsonian's at Varhazy Center because they have one. I will leave a link to their airplane description in my description below. Aside from the cold weather tests, there were operational P-61 squadrons in Alaska, in the Aleutians. Beginning in May of 1947, after returning from Germany, the 415th Night Fighter Squadron was reassigned to the Alaska Air Command out of Davis Army Airfield on Adak. In September, they were redesignated the 449th Fighter Interceptor Squadron and used as interceptors against Soviet aircraft encroaching into the North American airspace. It was December 21st, 1947, and at that point the old World War II base at Cape Field on Umnak was being used as an alternate field with minimal staffing. So whether the P-61s landed there for fuel, for an exercise, or because the airfield on Adak was sucked in is still a mystery. What we do know is that the crew took off to the north but crashed soon after the nose lifted off the ground, and it appears that the gear then collapsed and it skidded quite a ways down the runway, caught fire, destroying the airplane. Luckily, all 3 escaped. I have not discovered the briefing report, but some speculate that it was likely caught in the prop wash of the P-61 that had taken off in front of it. In 1948, the P-61s from the 449th would be replaced by twin-boom F-82 Mustangs, and the unit would become the last U.S. Air Force squadron equipped with propeller-driven aircraft. They would stay in Alaska until 1960 before becoming deactivated. Now, this wreck site is less isolated than the B-24 wreck on Atka, so should it be recovered? Is there enough of it to be recovered? Let me know your thoughts.